at the American Media Investments, AMI Radio Group. Coffee with the Chief.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm here to see Chief.
Yeah.
Can I get you to sign this press release for me?
Oh, what is this? What all is it asking me to say?
It'll just be footage that we can use for Chief in the future.
Okay.
And then, so I just need your name, if you agree, your name, and your name again, and date.
Want to make sure you know your name.
Okay. Give permission for photos, videos. Okay.
Oh, I guess I signed that. Never mind.
Okay. So May 2nd.
Yes.
You want to sell it or something?
Water.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trying not to get fired in the first 6 months.
You're not going to be. You're going to be reprimanded probably, but you won't be fired.
Well, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Mary.
And if you're
How you
not
doing,
doing the
Chief?
right
I'm all right.
job.
So, yeah, I'm used to reprimands. That's all right.
Yeah.
All these goodies up and down the table.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
And you are?
Got all that.
Barry Wingfield.
Hi, Barry.
See that?
Hi.
Margie Upson.
Margie, good to meet you. Well, that does look good.
Yeah.
Some other people that stopped by.
And you are?
I'm Ed Scorse. I'm running for Jasper County Western District Commissioner.
Okay.
You and I had the pleasure of meeting at the Veterans Steak Dinner at the Elks Club.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
welcome to Joplin again.
Thank you.
And one question I probably get asked more than anything, not about county government, is what are we gonna do about the homeless population in Joplin? And all I can say, that's a city problem. We've got a new police chief, and I'm hearing rumors he wants to move them all down to what I call the bottoms, and whether that's true or not, I don't know.
What are the bottoms?
Yeah.
The old train,
Yeah.
about first, A in Main, down the railroad tracks from the old police station.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
Rumors.
Rumors.
Wow.
Rumors.
So,
Now, I did have an
Now,
idea.
Joplin is very good at rumors.
I
will
can
tell
do
you
this.
this.
Have you heard where the homeless are gonna go? Somebody said they're gonna go to the tops or the bottoms. The
Well,
next guy that hears that says, do you hear what I hear? They're moving the bottoms over to the tops. And it goes around, and by the time it gets back to who started
It
it,
didn't sound
it's not
anything
even
like where it
close.
started.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not
I
even
never said that, but I did have an idea, and I'm gonna get myself in trouble, I know. I had this idea when I was back in Louisville, because we had a big homeless problem, of instead of having the homeless spread out all across the community, in the parks, hide behind bushes when it's 12 degrees below zero and that kind of thing, offer up a section of town, and I never said what section, but I'm just saying offer up a section of town, an area where it's made known to the homeless population, you can go here. And then instead of the city having to go all across the town every morning to try to clean up issues going along with the homeless population, there's like sanitation issues and litter issues and things of that nature. Instead of city officials having to spread themselves out all over town every day, they know this is an area where we know the homeless population is going to be. We can send a crew down there to clean up every day. We can put porta potties in there. We can have lights down there. They can feel safe. The social service community that we have in this town, which is booming, we've got a bunch of social service
Yes.
providers. They know this is where we can bring our resources to bear, because we know in this area that's been designated by the city, that's where we're gonna have a large population of homeless. So we can bring services down there to get them what they need, whether it be mental health services, providing people with the medications they need, medical attention. We can, patrol it to help make them safe, as opposed to having them spread out all over
Yes.
town. then maybe that will go towards making the park safer because the people know, the homeless population knows, we don't have to lay up in the parks where we're gonna get hassled by the police and we're gonna get called in on by residents. We go over here, we're gonna be fine. They're gonna take care of us, we're gonna get services. It's good, to me, it's a win-win, because they have a place to go. We know what this population in general is gonna be, we can provide them services. And it's good all the way around. Now, I never said anything about what part of town to provide this space in, and the city council hasn't said that they're gonna do that. I mean, this
No.
is just something rattling around in my head.
And they are thinking about different places. They're thinking about, one of the city council persons said to me, when I said, why aren't the homeless carrying a card that has their picture on it, their name on it? Then when they go to eat lunch, they check in. You know where that person is.
Well,
If
We
they
can put
need-
like a star on their arm, mark them, so that, right? I mean, that's what they did in Germany.
Yeah.
So that we could know who they
I was
were
just
and
about
what,
to say,
yeah.
That will bring the ACL.
Not to where, not to brand them, but to where if they go to eat, you know where John Doe is. If he goes to get medical help, you know that John Doe went to get medical help. You know he's part of the homeless. When I said they don't have to be classified as homeless, it's a card like your driver's license or whatever else. It's just to where if you told John Doe to go get medical help and he never went, you can say, why didn't you go? We offered that medical help to you. You're not participating with us helping you.
I see what you're saying, but on the flip side of that, John is gonna say, well, I don't wanna carry a card.
Yeah,
I don't
she
want
said
them
they won't
knowing,
do it.
I don't want people knowing where I'm going and what I'm doing. I mean, that's what's gonna happen
Right.
on the opposite
You're
side.
taking
It would
their
just be
freedom
like
away
if
from them.
it would just be like
Yeah.
you telling me I had to carry a card and people
Well,
would know where I was.
Make like a middle class card for people and an upper class card so that everybody can show who and what they are and where they fit in the environment. Is that what you're asking for?
No, no.
Oh, we don't want to tag everybody, just the homeless?
No, not tag them.
I just
It
wondered.
just,
It
I
sounded
know
like
of a small
tagging.
town up in Illinois that did this, to where when you registered with the homeless people, one of the questions they ask you, are you capable of working?
Uh-huh.
You know, did you have a profession?
Well,
Some of the
because-
homeless are recent homeless.
Because
Be-
realistically, what we want is everybody to be working, right?
Yeah,
Because we want to push GDP, right? I mean, we want to feed the beast.
Well, then,
Why does it
No.
matter if they
okay,
work?
then. Now,
because it would get them off the streets if they had a job.
because they knew.
Would it?
they were
Is that
gonna
what
have a
keeps
hard
them in the
time
streets?
they knew they-
Because I just, how many homeless people have you talked to find out the issues?
The one that talked to me told me that he was homeless because his job was cut, his wife took the kids and left all their money, he had nothing.
That's a lot of trauma, right?
And he said, I need a job, I need to get back on my feet, I need my pride back. Those are the ones that carry that card,
Stuff being done in the dark.
that we can help, that wanna be
There's
helped.
something out there that's causing
You
problems.
don't have to if you don't want
Somebody should
to.
say, hey, this is what's
It's
causing
just,
problems, 'cause maybe it's
I'm
a
out there
leadership.
trying to help
But
myself,
let me get your
you're
notes
trying to
from
help
you,
me.
and I'll check on
This
things.
is what I'm doing
It seems
to
like
get
you're
on my
gonna
feet.
have.
And he gets his pride back.
Okay. I mean, I just
I
don't-
didn't mean
yeah.
that make it sound like it was everybody,
Okay.
because it's not.
You
It's,
know,
you
one of
know,
our best.
Those
Some
people
of them
that
are
want to
always-
join the program.
yeah,
Um,
that, it's not their fault
She-
they're
did she
homeless
work
right
at
now.
Citizens?
It just happened.
Well, it could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just the ones that want to
Okay. Because we've got
participate,
Tiffany Osborne too, you know her.
and then help
She
them
worked at
get
the
back
casino. I'm
on
not
their
sure which
feet
one, but she's
and be
one of the best
productive
we've got right now,
human
so,
beings again,
you know,
instead of what
I don't
half
think-
the
I think
city
there are certain
calls
things in personal
throwaways.
background that
And I
will
hate that term
include
more than
them.
life itself. Nobody's a
police,
throwaway.
They're
Nobody.
human.
minor stuff
They're
like
human.
traffic or
Yeah.
If nothing
this-
else, they teach us something.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
of the best officers I worked with back in Louisville had little stuff in their backgrounds, and they turned out to be fantastic, because they could relate to people, you know? So, get with me and we'll check into that.
Okay.
Three things. I'm hearing from several people that Springfield's busing homeless people down to Dunawig at the gas station and letting them off. They're walking to town. Water Guards right off 7th Street have run a national advertisement inviting homeless people to Joplin. And that's one reason the homeless population has mushroomed. I don't know, when I hear something more than once, then you start thinking.
I've heard those things way more than once.
And you probably, another thing that, not too long ago on the news one night over in Baxter Springs, they've got little gal that works in the police has started a program. Like a gal that's on fixed income, low income, gets a ticket for a headlight out or a brake light out. She gets a voucher to go get that light and then goes to like the higher garage on North Shipping there, where she doesn't have to pay a $50 ticket, $50 court cost, and just digs the hole deeper for her. And I'm just throwing that out. That's something.
I think I've heard about that program too. I like that idea because why put, like you said, why put people deeper in a hole that they're already having trouble getting out of? You know, something else that I saw is different here and from Kentucky. If you buy a car here, you can finance that car, walk off the lot without having paid the property taxes on it. So now you still owe property taxes, so you can't get the license plate, which brings you into conflict with the police, and you get a ticket that you can't afford in the first place, because if you could afford it, you would have bought the plates. So it seems like to me, a law should be written, or the purchasing protocol should be changed so that if you buy a vehicle, before you leave the lot with it, everything needs to be paid. They put, you know, you've already paid the taxes on it, it's part of the financing, whatever. Because to me, that's just setting you up for failure.
It is.
They send people off the lot with a car whose taxes they can't afford, which is gonna bring them into conflict with the police. And then you get a $200 ticket, and it just puts you further away from being able to get the tags. Go back to what you were saying, I think that's a great program, I wanna look into that.
Baxter Springs just.
Chief, wouldn't that come down to personal responsibilities though? Like, if you're gonna go buy a vehicle, shouldn't we educate our people so that they know, oh, okay, if you're buying a $50,000 vehicle, you got a 3.5% tax on it. That's gonna come out to be in what,
You would think that would already be done.
$1,750.
You would think that people would just know they're walking onto a car, you gotta pay your taxes.
One would think.
That's why I say, I don't understand why it's like that here in Missouri, why they allow that. It's just setting people up for failure. They should know. I mean, I think it's kind of.
I think they do
you gotta pay your
know.
taxes.
I think they do know, but we watch our leadership and we see them not follow policy procedures and things like that. And then we see, oh, okay, that's a loophole. When our leadership finds loopholes to not, or to dance around the law, don't you think everybody else is going to do the same thing?
I think, I'm looking at it from a different angle. I think people need a vehicle and they see a way to get that vehicle at an affordable rate. You know, if you can knock $2,000 or $3,000 off the price of a car by not having to pay the taxes on it, you need a car to get back and forth to work. You're gonna do what you gotta do in the moment. That's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I see what you're saying.
So what if we had better public transit then? Then they wouldn't need the vehicle.
Do you know what
Yeah.
some car dealers do up north? They add the taxes in on your price of your car.
Yeah.
They pay the
That's
taxes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So-
You know,
That's what we're saying.
Well, they
Yeah.
put it into your
Everything is-
loan.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
then
it's
you-
in your loan.
So then you got a depreciating item that you just put another 2,000 or whatever dollars onto, and it's taken away from your equity. That's a terrible decision as a person to put a depreciating item with an interest rate and add more onto it. That's
But some people don't
that's
have a
just
choice.
financially
Yeah.
not
I
a
mean,
good
there's
idea.
people that don't
Don't have
have
a
choices.
choice.
There are people that
So
have
what-
to go get a
So
vehicle.
what's your remedy? What do you think we should do?
I think we need better public transit. And I think we need to educate people on how to use public
Do we have
transit
public
properly.
transit at all right now?
We did.
Was it a
Sort of.
trolley?
Sunshine Trolley.
So sort of, it comes by my house once a week to pick up the lady across the street.
But it's not a normal thing that they have daily
They
routes?
can't find qualified drivers for the pay they're giving, is what I've
Yeah,
been
see,
told.
there's a problem, you know, it's,
Yeah,
we're not, people aren't gonna work at jobs that they're not being paid properly at.
you think?
And if you get people to work those jobs, it's probably not gonna be the sort that you
Yeah.
want. So you gotta pay them right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, I mean, cause back home, and you know, you guys keep hearing me refer to back home, it's my only frame of reference, but they had what's called TARC, Transit Authority of River City. And they had bus routes all over the city, all day long, all day and pretty much all night long. So if you lived in one end of town and you need to get to work at another end, at the opposite end of town, and you didn't have a car, you could find a bus route that would take you where you need to get
Yeah.
to and back reliably every single day. So it wasn't as huge a problem, but then here I see a couple of catch-22s, like letting people leave the parking lot, their car you haven't paid the taxes on, or not having good public transit. These are issues that I can talk to people in city government about, but I'm just a cog in the wheel. These are big decisions at the city level that I really don't have the wherewithal to say, hey, do this, because if we did, then you'd have a whole lot of stuff done by now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She has a set appointment, cause has to have treatment done, and they're there in the little trolley to pick her up, and they take her to the hospital.
Mhm.
When we had the routes, she would have had to switch trolleys, which was fine, but then they gave up the routes, and you have to call and make an appointment to have them come pick you up.
See, back when we had TARC, which had just the
Yeah.
normal routes all over town, then we had what's called TARC 3, that people in that situation, instead of having to catch a bus and then transfer
Yeah.
and, and a lot of people like senior citizens and people with medical issues can't just really fool with going all over town to get to where they're going. They could call TARC 3 and say, hey, can you send a bus
Yeah.
to pick me up and take me to my appointment? And we would do that. That was something that TARC would do.
Well, Economic Security just started a program that started yesterday, and it's called CARS, and it's Community Action Ride System, and it's for people in need of transportation, and it's free for residents in the 4-county area, and it's with the Economic Security.
Yeah. Do we
It's
have we
free.
put that information up?
No, I don't know.
Kavanaugh's,
And the city also, the city does have transit system for that, for by appointment. They can pick folks up and take them to appointments or
Yeah.
take them
Okay.
shopping. So the city does offer that. We did lose
Is that a
the.
private service?
it's through the Economic Security, so no, it's,
Yeah, that may be a good thing to put out, do pay out. Also.
I mean, it's matches low income or fixed income riders with drivers, so, but,
I hope the drivers they have are vetted
Down in there.
all that good stuff.
I
That's just
don't
my
know, I mean,
security
Economic
liability.
Security I would think they would vet people, but I don't know for sure, I have no idea.
You know,
I just know that I saw this
For
yesterday,
some
and it
places-
started yesterday,
that sounds like a really good program.
yeah,
Yeah,
and,
we need to definitely make sure
Off, and I
we
don't
get
know
that
the
out to
street,
people.
it's like,
'Cause that would
the
help out a lot of
interstate's
people.
going here in the hospitals there,
It's
it's
called
over
Cars.
here.
it's
Almost
called CARS, and
across
it's through
from
Economic
that,
Security, and
AT&T
Student
building, yes,
is heading that
across the
program.
interstate, over in there someplace.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that if I could wave my magic wand,
Yeah,
I would fix just like that. But you run into budgetary issues. There's only so much you can do with the money that we have,
yeah,
and you gotta spread it around, and you triage it. The services that require the most money and provide the most needed services get more funding, like police and fire. You can't. That's the primary things you have to have in the city. Nobody's gonna want to live anywhere where your house could burn down, or if you have a problem, there's no 911 to call. So you gotta take care of those services first, and then jobs. You gotta bring in jobs. You gotta have grocery stores and pharmacies. Then you gotta have recreation. You gotta have parks. You gotta have city streets that function. There's not big potholes everywhere, and people can get around. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen for a city to be a city, and you have to spread those finances,
yes.
as wisely as you can in a fiscally responsible way. So I think a lot of the issues the headaches that you run into when you're dealing with city council
Yeah,
is because they're trying to figure out the best way to allocate a limited amount of funds. And that's where, but on the flip side of that, whether they have the money or not, you should get a call back. If you call somebody and you say, hey, I need help, even if the answer is, we don't have the money to do that, you should
Yeah.
get a call back.
Yeah.
So, because people don't like not being responded to. They don't like
he's from a big city.
being ignored.
They sure
I knew
don't,
I knew
Chief.
you were gonna laugh. I knew you were gonna laugh at that one.
They sure
I
don't,
will-
Chief.
I will say, I had an incident happen with an employee, and you guys were great. Like, literally called me back 2 or 3, 4 days in a row. I mean, just to check on the situation, make sure everything was okay. And that was, I thought it was fantastic.
Chief, one of the things I'm from
great.
the north, close to Chicago area.
Yeah.
When I first moved
Yeah,
down
it was
here,
great.
I was amazed how far back in time Joplin was on some of their rules, some of their laws. I used to be a foster mother for years. When I came down here to be a foster mother, some of the rules they had, I said, oh, we eliminated that 30, 35, 40 years ago. And they said, really? One of the things was getting people off public aid. And on up there, the bottom line on public aid in nice words says, I'll do anything it takes, you ask me to do to get off public aid. It's in better words. When I come down here and said to do that, they said, our public aid people won't do that. And I said, they don't have a choice. If they
Why
want
do they
public
do it?
assistance, they'll sign that paper. And I'll put them into school, I'll get them into training, and they will get off public aid if they do what they're supposed to do. They said, our public aid people won't do that. Now, 30 years later, that's on the public aid line.
Here?
Yeah,
Yeah. Takes a while to catch up.
yeah,
You know, the problem is to smack you in the face before you
yeah.
do stuff about it. And a lot of people aren't very progressive. They don't see what's coming down the road
And it,
and try to work on it.
one of the city council people that have now left, thank you, told me once, we've done this for over 30 years. And I said, it didn't work 30 years ago, it's not working now. He said, it's still working. And it wasn't,
Well, politicians.
yeah.
Well,
No offense taken, no offense taken.
You had asked a question about public transit. I just wanted to get you a little bit of information. So there's the city Public Works Department does offer the MAPS program, which is a by appointment only transit system. So it's curb to curb transportation. So you call them and they'll schedule. They'll come pick you up, take you to a doctor appointment, take you to wherever you need to go, and take you back. It's got to be pre-scheduled within the greater metro area, so you don't have to be within the city limits of Joplin for that service. Schedule right to be picked up from and taken to any destination within the MAPS operating boundaries. MAPS service is available in Joplin, Carterville, Dunlag, Oronogo, and Webb City. And the phone number to call for that is 417-626-8609. And there's an application here for a reduced fare. If the fare is too much for somebody, they can, there's a way to
How
apply
much
for a
is
reduced
the
fare.
fare?
I don't know.
Okay.
I apologize. This is my second week on the job with the city.
And who are you?
My name is Drew Douglas.
And what do you do?
They've hired me to be the director of communications and marketing for the city. And so
All
part of
right.
part of my job will be to be increasing government transparency and helping get word out about things and programs. Partnering with
see your
chief.
ears perked up, didn't you?
Hey, I like some government
geez.
transparency.
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh.
And partnering with the department heads like chief here and working to make sure that we're getting information to the public about the programs and services that you guys need to know about, knowing where government dollars are going, things like that. So that's why they brought me on. So
$4.
Thank you.
Really? For the
For
I think
any
it's
place in
$4.
town.
I think, well,
Is that
I mean,
round trip or just one way?
I think it's one way, but don't quote me.
Okay.
And there is that, but it used to be $4.
Okay.
So,
So I know something that wouldn't cost a dime. It's called following policy procedures, things like that. And I sat down with you, the assistant chief, and Captain Wolf, and your assistant chief completely misquoted the policy on police identifying. And I've shared it several times, and I'm sure you've seen
what
it.
is what is the correct wording on it?
That officers must identify when asked in the public for name and badge number.
They must identify when asking the public unless they're in the middle of doing something else.
I-
So I think that's
We
what-
can pull up the policy.
I know the
But-
policy, and here's the deal. It comes down to common sense and officer safety. If we're in the middle of doing something, like we're in the middle of a traffic stop, we're handling business, and somebody comes up that's not involved in that incident, and they say, I need your name and badge number. Well, we're gonna blow them off until we handle this. And I think you've been told by the courts.
I
that
think you're
you
making
can
a false
approach-
scenario. because that's not even what happened, and you guys keep on trying to make something out of it
I
that
saw
it
the
didn't
video,
happen.
Barry. I saw the
I
video.
did too, and so has everyone else. The guy was done. He was given his ticket. He couldn't read his ticket, so then we started asking for name and badge number because you couldn't read the guy's name or the badge number on the ticket. Now, if you watch the full video, you'd know this.
Now, you say the guy couldn't read the name and badge number, so this wasn't.
He
you
came
that was
over
giving
and
the ticket.
talked to us. He came across the street after the police were done with him, talked to us, showed us the ticket, and then we said, "What's the name of the officer?"
Okay, so the guy didn't come back to the police and say, "Hey, I can't read the name and badge number."
He
You
said
came
it
back
too.
with
He
that.
yelled it too. The other people were yelling it before I even said anything.
So you see,
So then
there's-
he wouldn't
At some
identify,
point
so
in
I
time,
go
the word
across the
meddling
street.
got to be brought into the conversation. I'm all about transparency too. I don't think stuff should be done behind closed doors. It doesn't need to be behind closed doors. I don't think stuff should be done that's hidden from the public. But also, I believe in common sense. I'm not going to insert myself into a situation that I'm not a part of just to create problems. And what you do, Barry, a lot of what you do is just poking the bear, just to see what kind of response you can get, so you can get clicks on your website.
Not true.
Really?
What I'm doing is I'm showing the public the people that are out there, because there's a bunch of them that are tyrants, and there's a group of people in this area that do not obey the law, but they pretend to, and then they'll make things up afterwards to charge people to have something, and then our court system, which isn't recorded, they don't even keep transcripts in our court system in
Well,
Joplin.
you keep saying that, Barry,
They
but you
keep
won't bring
pushing
in
stuff
specific
through.
instance. I gave you an hour and a half in my office one day, almost 2 hours, and you put it on YouTube, or was it TikTok or YouTube, or which one?
Probably both.
But that's fine. That doesn't bother me, because I don't do stuff that I'm ashamed of, or say things that I'm ashamed of. But you came with the attitude that we're trying to hide stuff, and I said to you then, tell me, because what you said to me was the city of Joplin at large is terrified of the police department. I said, okay, if there's people who have been done wrong, have those people come talk to me, and I'll investigate.
But they
look
won't
into
come
it.
forward, and I told you that because
So
they're
what do I do?
scared.
So what do I do?
You got to put better people out on the streets. You got to look at what people are
But
doing. You
your
got to
argument
look at
is
the
that
tyranny
there's a lot
that's
of people
in place.
afraid. Let me talk to those people. I'll investigate, and whatever the proper thing to do is what I'll do. If officers need to be disciplined, I'll discipline them. I don't have a problem with that. If officers need to be fired, I'll fire them. Don't have a problem with that. But to say Joplin is afraid of the police department, I'm not going to tell you who or what happened, but Joplin's afraid of the police. That dog just don't hunt, Barry.
We have the nicest police in our area.
This is what I keep
Okay.
hearing. You're the only person that I'm hearing from that says everybody's afraid.
I guess you're okay. You ain't watching anything. You know you watch my stuff.
No,
you see
I
the
don't.
stuff
Why
that
would
comes.
you do that?
What? You've admitted to it before. You guys have told me that you follow my page, that you
No,
guys
you
go
just
to
said
my
to me
page.
that I watch your stuff. I don't watch your stuff, Barry.
Oh, okay. Well, you got somebody on staff that does.
Yeah, we keep track of what's going on. It's called intelligence gathering.
Okay.
That's what we do.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say something positive.
Yes. Please.
Lately, I've noticed an increase of police presence. So, I don't know if finally some of the officers that have been through school and got training, got hired, I don't know. Maybe it was you, I don't know. It's nice.
Our shifts, so
Okay.
we have a bulk of officers coming in 7 to 8 to 7 p, a midsection of officers coming in from 2:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m., and then we have another shift that comes in from 7 p to 7 a. So you're gonna see that overlap right in the middle of the day, when our crime statistics have told us that most of the runs come out and most of the activity is going on from 2:30 in the afternoon to 2:30 in the morning. You basically got 3 shifts working. The group that works 7 a to 7 p, 7 p to 7 a, and then that middle group. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot more officers during the time of day when we're having the most activity.
I love that.
I think the chief has a good point also concerning as being an ex-DPS sergeant in Denver. He has a good point in the fact that when the police are very busy, and I've been in this situation, it could be a violent situation, they don't have time to stop and give the name and the badge number. And he's right about that. You can wait until things settle down and you can gather that information, give that information as needed. Another thing I would like to say that the chief did on his last presentation at City Council, he talked about, you may recall this, he talked about the drug problem. And also he mentioned that there needs to be less arrest and imprisonment for lesser offenses and more treatment. And I think that was an excellent idea.
Yes.
And so, hey, we're doing good getting this guy right here.
Yeah.
And that goes into something else that we just started, the new city ordinance that was just passed, where we can keep low-level drug offenses in city court as opposed to sending it to county court.
Yeah, that was your point in the presentation, I think.
Yeah, you keep low-level stuff at the lowest level. There's a kind of a catch-22 going on in there because there are people who are struggling with drugs and alcohol addiction. If we keep those offenses, like if they got one piece of dope in their pockets, it's personal use, they don't need to try to be put in a situation where they're, up for going to prison. So we keep that in the lower court. But in the lower court, they don't get caught up by the drug treatment program. If they go to county court, and they can go to Judge Kim Fisher's court, she does drug treatment. As a matter of fact, later on in the day, I'm going to be speaking at one of their graduations. If we keep those charges in city court, then they don't have the opportunity to go into what's basically drug treatment court. But that's the only drawback to it. I do believe in keeping low-level offenses at a low level. And right now I'm starting to work with some local attorneys on my expungement program, because if you've got a low-level nonviolent felony offense in your record, like maybe you wrote a few bad checks and it rose to the level of a felony, or you had a piece of dope in your pocket, you weren't hurting anybody, but you got this felony conviction on your record now. Well, we all know what that does when you go to a job application, you check that box, convicted felon, they chuck it in the trash. So it basically locks you into a life of crime. It locks you into a life of criminal recidivism because you can't get at the goodies that normal society offers. Like, there's a bunch of licenses you can't get as a convicted felon. You can't go in the army. You can't vote. You can't own a weapon to protect yourself. You can't get a school loan. There's a lot of apartments that won't let you move in because you have that moniker. Well, if we can erase that for people that qualify, I mean, if you've been out raping, robbing, and pillaging, that program's not for you. But certain low-level felony offenses, we can get those erased, expunged from your record. So now you can move forward, and I'm a firm believer that when you're 50, you shouldn't be paying for stuff you did when you were 20. At some point in time, you gotta be shed of that so you can move forward. So I'm working with some local attorneys. I'm trying to scoop me up a judge or two that will sign off on it. And it's just paperwork.
Yeah.
That's all it is paperwork. You come in, if you qualify, the lawyers fill out the paperwork, they hand it to a judge, he checks over to make sure everything looks good, he signs it, and then your record is expunged. This felony is gone, and you can progress in life and be normal without having that anchor around your neck. That's a big thing I'm working on.
You start pairing programs like that with the housing programs that the city planning and development department is working with, and pairing it with the homeless plan that the city is working on, and some of those initiatives, and partnering with nonprofits, and you start to crack away at some of these issues that are affecting safety in neighborhoods. Because it's not just a policing issue. It's like he was talking about it. It's really got to be kind of attacked from multiple angles by the city to address those things and put us in a position where police are not having to deal with all of that on their own.
I'll just mention that the federal government right now has got a lot of stuff coming up concerning doing this, lowering the penalty.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about marijuana, reclassifying it?
Yeah,
that's a big one.
big one.
Huge, because right now, marijuana is, the way that the Drug Enforcement Agency at the federal level classifies drugs, everything that you ingest is put into a group. It's called a schedule. Schedule 1 to Schedule 5. Schedule 1 being the worst of the worst. Things that have no medical, there's no medical need or necessity or benefit from it, but they are highly likely to get you addicted. Things like heroin, meth, PCP. They group marijuana in with those drugs. Then the next step down are things like Dilaudid and things that a doctor would use. You can get addicted, but they have medical uses. And then it goes all the way down to stuff you can buy over the counter like NyQuil and things like that. But right now, the federal government still has marijuana in the same group as heroin and PCP and methamphetamine. What he was referring to is there's a move right now, I think the DEA is actually moving forward with presenting this to the White House, that they're going to take marijuana out of that Schedule 1 classification and put it down to Schedule 3, which in Missouri, it doesn't matter because marijuana is legal, but in other states that will matter because the penalties for possession of marijuana at the federal level will be different, and how cases are adjudicated, how funds are allocated will be different because marijuana has been put in this lower scale. I think that's a big step forward, and I've always seen this as something that's going to have to get worked out between the states and the federal government, and the Supreme Court is going to have to take care of that because a lot of states are legalizing marijuana, medicinal marijuana, and even recreational marijuana. But the feds, up until now, have been saying it's still a federal felony. So how can a state, you be sitting in a state where it's legal to use it, and a fed comes through in that state and says, I'm gonna lock you up on federal charges? You know, you would sit there and say, hey, but the governor says it's fine, why are you locking me up? So that's something that I've always seen as having to be hammered out by the federal courts or the Supreme Court ultimately, unless they change the rules, which it looks like they're moving towards.
I need a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
You do not have my permission to put that on any of your crap.
Oh, I don't need it, ma'am. Thank you, though.
Please don't do it. I'm asking you nicely. Please don't do it.
Can you just
For-
Got
exclude-
it?
Can you just exclude her from whatever you put on the internet?
I'm sure we can cut it out or something.
Please do it.
You're very hostile, ma'am.
I'm very pleasant right now.
Oh,
I can get hostile, but I choose not to go to your level. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can
Thank
just
you.
cut her out or blur her or
Cut me
however you want to do it. I'm okay with being on there because I think I take a nice picture.
hey, man. That's what. That's how I feel about
that's what I'm here
it.
for.
You know they're recording right over there too. So.
They
Did
have
you
my
wanna-
permission.
Oh, okay.
You don't.
But I just like for everything to stay civil. You know,
Yeah.
the purpose of
Yes.
today is for us to come and share ideas and information so we can move forward and be a community.
I do.
That's what I want.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
On transparency and the government telling us what's really going on. So we've been told that Sniper One redacted his name and that he sued to redact his name. But then when you look at the finances of it, it looks like the city paid for his attorney fees to redact his name.
Extra crap.
Do you find that to be a conflict of interest for the city to sue themselves and say
I don't
that
know. I don't know that that's the case. I don't have any information on who paid for what. But I kind of figured that was going to come up. That issue has been adjudicated. I mean, you keep saying you want transparency and accountability. I think is the word you use. But what accountability are you looking for? Because every investigative body that has looked at that case has said, you know, there's nothing that we can do with this. There's no criminal intent. So where do you want to take that? Who is it now that you want to have a look at that?
Well, have you looked at it?
I've looked at it.
You studied it. You looked at where he was positioned. You seen where the 2-year-old child's body was lying, where the grown man was at. Seen that the trajectory did not match up. Seen that he clearly took
Actually, the
a
trajectory
shot.
did match up. I've got a little bit more information on that than you do. And if there was something to it that made me go, this ain't right, this is messed up, I would act on it. So me having more information than you, and me saying there's nothing here that would rise to the level of trying to indict this fella or fire this fella, why would you contradict everything that every investigative body that has looked at this has said?
What could you possibly have?
Yes.
What could you possibly
Thank you.
have that would be beyond the KBI report, beyond the body cam videos, beyond the things
That's it.
that I've seen?
Nothing. There is nothing else, Barry.
Well, then you said that you had more than I did.
I do have more than you do. You don't have it all. Everybody that's looked at this stuff, do you think everybody is corrupt, Barry?
No, I don't believe that.
I mean, do you think that Kansas Bureau of Investigation is corrupt? Do you think the grand jury in Kansas is corrupt? Do you think the prosecutor's office in Kansas is corrupt?
There
I know
is
you
some
think we're
things.
corrupt.
There is some things with the prosecutor's office and with the sheriff that was over there. They've all stepped down. The prosecutor stepped down right after signing it. The next prosecutor won't even say if they even looked into it. So yeah, there's some things that really make me go, wait a minute, why are they doing this all at the same time that this is coming out and that these things are happening? Why? What
I
are they
can assure
running
you,
from?
Barry, I don't have a hidden agenda. I'm not a politician. Got no interest in politics right now. If there was something going on that was wrong, I'd deal with it. Why would I not?
I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't.
So Barry's admitting there's something he don't know. Look at that.
I've admitted
Glory,
there's
I
plenty
believe,
of things
I
I don't
believe.
know.
But there's no, if there's something wrong, Barry, I deal with it. There's no reason for me to, I'm new here. I've only been here 4 months. Why would I cover for somebody?
To build a camaraderie within the groups, in the ranks
I don't
to,
need to build it.
I mean,
'cause
that's
I've been in
what,
this business for 30 years. I don't need to build it. It's already there.
He's their boss.
Well, at any
But
place from
do you think that
camaraderie is
really
stronger-
matters?
Camaraderie is stronger when discipline and order and proper procedure is followed, and so it's in his benefit, it's in our benefit to uphold the right way of doing things.
Internally and externally, because the police department cannot function correctly if you allow craziness to go on. The people won't have any faith in the police department if we allow craziness to go on. We can't live in a civilized society if the police are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. We are the guardians as the police. We are the guardians of safety and security at the local level. If we aren't doing if we aren't doing the things that we should be doing, or we are doing things that we shouldn't be doing, society breaks down. I mean, it breaks down right quick. So what you're saying, not to be a jerk, but what you're saying just doesn't make sense.
why are they so scared of a guy using his First Amendment rights then? All I'm doing is recording people asking questions. Why are the police so scared of it?
Do I look scared?
No.
I'm not scared. But see, here's the thing, this gentleman down here spoke to it. We do a dangerous job, right? Is there anybody in this room that would disagree that police get into dangerous situations? And I think even
No.
you would have to agree with that.
No, I agree with that. We've
So-
talked before. I don't.
Yeah, we've talked before.
I've
We've talked
not
several
hidden
times
things
before.
from you.
So if the police are involved in a situation, we've got our focus on, I've got my focus on her. She could be a danger to me. I'm trying to get this thing squared away. I don't know if she's a danger to me. I've got to pay attention. Somebody comes up from over here and they start distracting my attention or inciting her to do stuff that she might not have done in the first place. As the police officer, put yourself in that police officer's place. What are you going to be thinking? You're dealing with her. You don't know if there's going to be a problem with her. You don't know what the deal is. I come up and I start throwing all this stuff at you. I want your name, your badge number, and all this stuff. What are you going to be thinking at that point? Be
I'm
honest.
gonna think. My name is Barry Wingfield. My badge
When you're
number
in
is
the middle of
this.
taking
Then
care of
I'm
a
done.
potentially
I've
dangerous
got the gun
situation.
on you.
Yes, I am.
That just, well.
Why would I not be
And that's
friendly
why
to
you
my
ain't police.
community?
Yeah,
But why would I not be friendly to my community and respond to them in
Why
an
can't you be
appropriate
friendly to the
way?
community 5 minutes after you get done with her? Why can't you finish dealing with her and then come over and talk to me? Why is it so important for me to press the issue that you've got to stop what you're doing and come and talk to me?
It's none of your business.
But that's a scenario that you're making up that didn't happen.
But one thing I'll say.
They were already done.
Barry occasionally does have a point, and that.
I agree, he does.
He does, and the thing about that is dealing with bad apples in the barrel, because you're gonna have those.
Both sides.
And yeah, all the way.
Yes.
And it's up to chief to deal with those bad apples in that barrel in his department.
It's not up to me to do it.
And when I find them, I'm going to deal with them. I'm a career policeman, Barry. I'm a professional police officer. And there's more to being a professional than just collecting a paycheck every 2 weeks. There's something that's in your heart. You got to be a master of your craft to be a professional. I don't want people in my profession that are doing crazy jackleg stuff. I don't want it. I'm not going to allow it. I worked too hard for too long to get to where I am, to sit atop an organization that's full of people doing bad stuff. It's just craziness. If somebody's doing something wrong, it's brought to my attention, I find out about it. Even if a citizen doesn't bring it to my attention, if I find out about it, I'll start an investigation. But the stuff that you keep coming to me with is the city's afraid. All these people are afraid. I don't know who all these people are. How can I help them? How can I start an investigation and see if there's something bad going on? If the only information I have is all these people. Where have you left me to go with that?
Well-
Some of those people, they have a right to do that because they've been treated poorly. And I think that's what Barry's kind of pointing out. It's a good point.
That's a good point. But
Yeah.
again, how can I help that person if I don't know who that person is?
Right. and
But they're
finding the bad
scared. How do you
apples,
expect them to
that's
come to you when they've been trampled on by the police
How do you
before
expect me to help
and
them if I
they?
don't know who they are?
Well,
I've got to know who they are so I can help them.
Are you meeting with people on one-to-one basis?
I will meet with anybody who wants to talk to me.
I want to talk to you.
Okay.
let's go back to whoever he's talking about. They need to start at the top, you're at the top, you hear the problem, then maybe it needs to go down to this, or maybe it stops with you, I have no idea. But tell these people, just go in.
And I've made it clear that my door is open. How did you get in to talk to me?
Well, because I'm bold. You know that.
Okay, but how did you get in to talk to me?
Well, I had to go around and video and wait for
No,
everybody.
you just
And
had to come to the police station and say, I want a meeting.
that's not true.
And as soon as I found out you wanted a meeting,
You're
what did
right,
I do?
You're not true.
What did I do?
That
Be honest, what did I do when I found out you wanted to meet with me?
when the second time you actually sat down with me, I came in before that and was trying to meet with you. I called in several times, left messages for you. I've got a lot of emails that you never responded to where I wanted to talk to you. I even asked for the policy about hanging cameras on street lights and all that stuff so that everybody can see, so we can record stuff and actually catch the people that are doing things. And you told me that's
Who's
against.
hanging cameras on street
I
lights?
told you that I wanted to, would use my own personal money to hang trail cameras on street lights and things like that. You told me it was against policy or against city
We don't own those
policy.
poles. We can't give you permission to hang stuff on a pole that we don't own.
Well, that's not what you said. You told me it was against city policy, and I asked you for
It
that
is against city
specific policy, and then you never replied
Well,
back.
I'll get it to you. The poles that the city owns, it's against policy to hang stuff on without permission.
That would be
Most
a
of those
city
poles we don't
policy.
own. So I can't give you permission to go hang something on her front porch. Same with those
Right.
poles. So,
I would be very, very uncomfortable with just cameras watching us all the time.
it's
Why?
a valuable tool to police, but I
Yeah.
agree with you. I don't like too much Big Brother.
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna live in a Nazi state where your every movement is watched and recorded, and I don't wanna live like that. But it is a valuable tool to us in certain situations.
Okay, we need to move on. I've been out campaigning, and a guy owns a car repair shop. He had, and please take this as a positive question.
Okay.
He had a vehicle stolen, calls the police department, they investigate, and finally they catch the old boy. And Joplin, and it was considered a felony because of the dollar bag. Joplin, instead of prosecuting that as a felony, turned it over to the county prosecutor. And he asked me why, and I said, I have no idea. And I don't, and maybe you don't.
You talking about the Joplin City Court?
Yeah. Whatever it was
If I'm not
turned.
mistaken, the Joplin City Court can only prosecute misdemeanors.
Okay.
If they ran it as a felony, it'd have to be turned over to state court and handled through the county.
It was sent over to the county. The county let this person out on probation with no time served. And they're jumping me about it, and
They're jumping me about it too.
and so I asked one of the present commissioners, he said, the court system is off
The
limits.
court system is its own separate thing. We battle with the court system all the time. We battle with the prosecutors all the time. It's not just here, it's nationwide. The police do dangerous work. They go after the bad guys. We fist fight them and jump fences in dark alleys to get the bad guy arrested, brought to jail, presented to the court. And then what the courts do at that point, the police don't have jurisdiction over. Now, we can work with the prosecutor, but, and I've run into this personally many times over the years where I've, come home with my eyes swollen shut from getting a guy locked up, take it to the prosecutor, and they, instead of making it a felony, they make it a misdemeanor, and I'm just so frustrated. But the court system is its own separate branch of government. We don't have we can't swing a stick with making them do anything. The prosecutor makes up their own mind, the head prosecutor and his assistant prosecutors.
So why can't the city prosecute felonies?
I think I'm not exactly sure, it may be part of the city charter. I can double check on that and get back with you, but because the city only prosecutes traffic violations and violations of city ordinances. No city ordinance is a felony. So that's where that is. That's why we have to turn anything that puts you into a situation where you're up to go to state prison on a felony has to go to state court. And that's where the county prosecutor comes in.
That's why I said Joplin's 35 years behind.
Yeah, the city of Joplin cannot put anybody in prison. And when I say prison, that means
Yeah.
over 365 days in jail. The city of Joplin can't do that. That's the felony misdemeanor breaking point. And that's why only misdemeanors are handled in Joplin City Court, and the county prosecutor handles felonies. So if you steal a car, that puts you up for going to prison. So the city court doesn't have jurisdiction there.
I mean, let's say Carrie stole my car. If she didn't serve any time, what's gonna keep her from doing it again?
I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir right there, brother.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think for certain things,
Try not to steal.
the penalty has to be commensurate with the crime. You shouldn't get your hand lopped off for stealing a loaf of bread. You shouldn't have to go to jail for 5 years for a minor, even if it's a felony offense, but a minor felony offense. You shouldn't be locked away for years at a time. But again, that's in the prosecutor's wheelhouse, and I wish we had more sway with them.
I just thought maybe the prosecutor didn't want to mess with it. We'll give it to the county and let them handle it.
No,
It's the
there are
same.
prosecutors, county prosecutors, and I'm not trying to indict anybody here, I'm just saying nationwide, there are county prosecutors that do prosecute felonies that aren't as enthusiastic about their jobs as they should be, or energetic about going after. That's why you see so many people going to jail over and over and over. They should be getting put in prison a long time ago, but their case is amended. Their charges are amended from felonies to misdemeanor, because it's a lot easier to get rid of a misdemeanor caseload than it is a felony caseload. If every crime that was committed, if every felony crime that was committed in this country went to a jury trial, the criminal justice system in this country would grind to a halt in a single day. A single day. 99% of all criminal cases, whether it be traffic or actual criminal cases, are handled by plea agreements or, by plea agreements. You know, the case is amended from a felony, or they lump a bunch of charges together and get rid of it that way. But that's just how business has to be handled, because the court system couldn't handle it if everything went to a jury trial. And to answer your question about why the city prosecutor sent it over to the county prosecutors, because it's something that the city prosecutor, the city court didn't have the legal jurisdiction to address.
Real quick, you're the new guy on the street. I'm disappointed the Globe's not here, or in the TV stations, and I'm kind of disappointed in the Globe personally. That maybe you could post something in the paper, so if these people that need a ride from their house to the doctor or the hospital know about. I don't know if everybody in low income knows about that.
Yeah, we just discussed that.
It's on my to-do list
Oh, okay.
so part of my duties will be to work with all the city departments to identify programs and services that we need to get the word out more about.
Yes.
And we will be working on that.
Did you all just see the latest issue of the Joplin Globe or Joplin Guide, the magazine?
I did, your picture's on the front page.
Wow, you know, whenever I see a picture of myself or I'm on TV, my head looks so freaking huge.
Oh, no, it's on the rest of your body.
We Photoshop. We Photoshop. Nobody need to do something. Yeah, made it rough. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are. Another program I want to mention to you guys that I'm working on, and I'm really running into a lot of roadblocks on this one, is I want to get an embedded social worker in the police department. I've talked about this on several radio shows, because a lot of times we run into problems that we can't properly address. Like I said, we've got the authority to take people to jail, to take police reports, but that's not always the best outcome for people. Let's say you're somebody who's out committing crimes because you're mentally ill and you don't have access to the right medications. Well, we can prevent you from committing all those crimes in the future, from hurting people or getting hurt or going to jail over and over again. If we can hook you up with somebody from the social services spectrum, they can say, hey, I'm not the police, I'm not here to lock you up. I understand you got some issues. What meds are you on? Hey, I know who to hook you up with in the social service world to make sure you get your medication. So now you're properly medicated, you're not committing crimes anymore. Or let's say you got a victim of domestic violence. We get there, we can lock up the perpetrator, we can take a report, we can go to court and testify. But how does that help that victim get the emergency housing that they need? How does it help them make sure their kids get back and forth to school? How does it help that victim get back and forth to court like they need to, or get the protections, the ongoing protections that they need? If I can hook that person up with this embedded social worker, who I'm gonna pay their salary, so I don't have to worry about 27 different social service workers or agencies, trying to get in on my person. It's not that I'm unsympathetic or not a team player, but if everybody's using my person, then we can't use our person, and it's, it kind of screws the point.
We had one of the jobs I had up in Illinois was being a saver. If somebody went into a house, the cops went into the house at 2:00 in the morning for domestic violence, there's kids there, they call a saver. When it's safe to go in, we go in, get the kids and get out. One of the things that our police department did is allowed us savers to be licensed foster parents. Instead of taking those kids down to the police station and waiting for the aunt to come or whatever, we could take them home and put them in a bed and have breakfast the next morning and not have the kids in jail too. When I came down here and proposed that 34 years ago, I was told we don't need that in Joplin.
Well, we need it now.
Yeah, very
I'd
bad.
like to talk to you after that, after the meeting, and see what we can do to try to
No, you're
spin
fine,
that up.
you're fine. Would that social worker also go on Wellbeing Checks,
Mhm.
like for
Yes.
those people?
Well, I'm gonna work the hell out of this person.
I've always said that
Yes.
Wellbeing Checks should
Yes.
have a mental health professional go with them, a social worker or
Mhm.
somebody,
And also-
just because they can
Yeah.
de-escalate that situation.
And
you know.
also, an idea I had, once I get this person or people up and running, is to do senior calls, what I call senior calls, where people, senior citizens can register voluntarily. They can call the police department and say, hey, I'm a single widow, I live alone, can you come check on me every week? Or, you know, I need some help.
Yeah.
And it's a broad spectrum of things. But this embedded social worker would have that list of individuals, and they could call them once a week and say, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything
Yes.
going on?
Yes,
With stuff like, I got a light out and I can't reach it, or I don't have my medicine, what can you do to help me?
Yeah.
And that social service worker can either call the right social service agency to get that person help, or if it's a problem with, I haven't eaten in the last couple of days, we can get that person some food right quick, whether it's, I'll get in the car and go to the grocery store and buy the food, whatever
family,
is needed. we can
family
help
and
them.
children's services up there had social workers that when that domestic violence happened,
Mhm.
and the man or woman was put away, the social worker could go out, and there's one that didn't get put away, they could help get back on their feet,
Mhm.
get groceries, get them with the food pantry, whatever needed to get them back on their feet.
And this person is gonna be a licensed social worker, I'm not gonna.
Yes, yes,
I'm not gonna find some untrained
No.
person, I'm gonna find somebody who's got all the certifications, educations, qualifications,
Yes.
we're gonna do a good job of vetting this
degrees,
person.
everything.
They're gonna have an office, hopefully, my vision is to have them have an office in my department, so all my officers can go by and say, hey, I know of a family that's in trouble.
Yeah.
Here's the information, take that ball and run with it.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it opens up the officers to stay focused on traditional police work,
Yes.
enforcing the law, things like that. But at the same time, they can go home feeling good because they know they got that person help. Not just in the moment,
Right,
but if it takes that embedded social worker a week to work with this person and get them back to being okay, a month, a year, 18 months, however long it takes, they can work with them in a holistic, from a holistic approach to get that person squared away. Whereas the police, we just don't have the
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
the numbers, the training to do
And
that
then-
kind of thing.
that social worker will know every agency in town that will help those people.
And once I get
Yeah.
this person or people hired, that's gonna be part of their training. It might take 2 or 3 weeks to get them trained up right. I want them to know the law. I
Yeah.
want them to meet all the officers. I want the officers to meet them. I want everybody to have everybody else's cell phone number. I wanna take that person around to have a big meeting at the library with a representative of all the social service providers, all the hospitals, everybody
Yes,
that's a stakeholder, sit down together, talk, figure out the best way to provide services along with my embedded social worker. That way, when the officers who are the tip of the spear, because we're the ones out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning encountering these people in these situations, when they run into that situation that a policeman just can't handle. And also another big thing is a lot of times looking like this triggers some people.
yeah,
You know, they've had bad experiences with the police, or they're mentally ill, or whatever the case may be. If us being us is escalating the situation, we can step back, get on the phone and say, hey, social worker, I need you out here. They can come out, it's a partnership. They come out and work with us, they step up, we step back. At that point, we're just on scene for security to make sure everybody's safe. That social worker works with that person, sees what they needs, what their needs are, and takes care of that. And then once they've hooked up and the social worker knows what they need to do for that person, they'll take them and do what needs to get done,
Yep.
and we can get back out on the streets, and everybody's fine. That's my vision,
I
that's what I'm
love
working
that.
on.
So I agree with you, and you can see it in that format, but you can't see it in the format of people talking to me that don't want their name given to you,
What do you
or
want
that
me to
won't
do,
come
Barry?
in. You know what I mean? Like, well, you're asking me about this, and so I'm saying you just admitted to it here that you understand that those people are there and that this happens.
Yeah, sure, of course.
But
I'd
then-
rather talk to him about the problem than somebody like you about the problem.
And if somebody
But
wants
that's
to-
you,
the
ma'am.
authority of the,
But that's you, ma'am, and you've had good experiences with them.
Well, Barry, these
That's-
people that you say that are having so many problems and are scared of the police, are you scared of me?
Am I?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think if somebody came and talked to me that I would listen to me? Talk to me directly, one-on-one?
I think you would talk to them. The listening, how much that would happen, I'm not sure on that.
Well, I'll put this out to you. If you know these people who are scared to talk to the police, have them come and talk to me. I'll meet them at a coffee shop. They don't have to come to the police station. I'll meet them at a coffee shop. I'll go to their house. They can meet me wherever. And we'll talk, and whatever needs to get done, whatever is appropriate to get done, I will do.
Okay,
I will
thank
do.
you.
If you met him at the coffee shop and he would just wear clothes like this, would that not be so intimidating to these people? And maybe you won't get out of uniform to talk.
No, I'm fine with it.
I'm just trying to think.
I don't believe that that's the thing. I think
Okay.
the issue is when people feel that they come forward and then people try to build a case on them for coming forward and for trying to say, hey, this is how I feel. This is what you're making me feel, or I shouldn't say making me feel, but this is how I feel from the situation. And then they try to build a case on you, or they start asking questions to try and build a case. That doesn't make people feel
Any
comfortable.
questions I ask would be to try to substantiate what they're saying, get the information I need to do an investigation, and help them. If there's misconduct afoot, I need to talk to them and get the information so that I can
He's
go
got to
forward
have
with that.
facts. In his position, you got to have nothing but straight facts.
I mean, because what I'm getting from you is you want me to start going around and disciplining police officers with absolutely no information, no facts, no complaint, no nothing. How do I do that? If you work for me and I came to you and say, Barry, some people say they don't like you and you did wrong by them, so you're fired. How would you feel about that?
I would want more information, just the same as you're
So
saying.
Barry admits that we should have more information before we do stuff.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that?
Would
You want me to
I've
do stuff
never
to
not
officers
admitted that.
without-
But I
without
asked you
information?
guys to grab the camera footage from the training center of one of your officers walking up and grabbing my arm, and
I saw
there was
I saw
a
the footage. He didn't touch you.
that's
Because the arm you
not
said he
true.
grabbed was on the opposite side.
That's
You get it up.
100% not true.
Okay.
I mean, you could ask. That's okay. There's other cameras up there. I mean, you guys
if there's
pulled
video
one.
footage that refutes what I saw, what I've been told, what I know, then I'll look into it. And I'll do the right thing. It's not just lip service. I'll do what needs to be done.
Okay, then pull the other cameras in that place so that you can see a different angle, because what I said was true and it was 100%
Now,
true.
didn't the Missouri State Highway Patrol investigate that?
Yeah, they said they did. But they only pulled one camera angle. Why would they only pull one camera angle?
I don't know. Everybody's a bad guy, Barry. And
I'm not saying everybody's a bad guy, but I'm saying you guys try to protect each other. There's the thin blue
I
line.
protect people who need to be protected. If somebody's doing something wrong, they don't need to be protected.
The thin blue line, it says it right on their website
Okay, guys.
that they've waged war in the streets.
We got a young lady here who's been there waiting very patiently.
Yes, she has.
Okay, so back to your social services thing. What are the credentials you're looking for? Because I might know someone that could get in contact with you.
If they're a licensed clinician, a licensed social service worker, they've got all the certifications and licenses, and I won't pretend that I'm an expert on that, but I'm gonna put together a panel of people who are experts on that. I'm looking at putting together a 5-person panel to do the hiring and job description and job requirements. I'm gonna be on the panel just as a tie-breaking vote, because I'm not an expert in that. I'm gonna have somebody from the hospitals, somebody from social services, just a wide variety of people who have expertise in this area. We'll put together a list of qualifications, a list of job responsibilities, then we'll post a position, and I'm getting ahead of myself here because I don't even have the money yet. But I will get the money, and this panel will put all that stuff together, they'll put out the job posting. Everybody in the community that's interested in the position, we'll vet them, we'll interview them. I'll sit back and let the other 4 people on the panel who actually know what they're talking about do the questioning. If there's a tie on who's going to get the job, then I'll break the tie. I hope there's not a tie because I don't want to have to break it. But that's what I'm looking for. It's as long as they have I won't say minimum qualifications, because I know the qualifications to be a licensed social.
LCSW.
Yeah, I mean, there's a standard you have to meet.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, this girl, she works at a DCF office. So I don't know if that's the type of stuff you're looking for.
As long as she's LCSW?
LCS.
That does it for me. Because again, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm an expert in this.
Yeah, I think she's got like a bachelor's in it.
There you go.
Okay.
She just has to be
She's-
licensed, because
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's in it, but I went operations and didn't get licensed.
Right,
So, but
yeah, I'll have to ask her, but that might be something that.
And I went licensed,
Me
not
too.
operational.
But yeah, I think that
And I
could be
got the cat.
such, I think that could be such a benefit to the community.
Oh,
I mean, it helps so many people. And I presented that to the city council one night, and they were all like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And one council member even said, "Now, is one person going to be enough?" And I was
That's
like, "No."
what I
That
was
was my
thinking,
question.
that was the
I mean,
whole time,
but you gotta start somewhere.
somewhere, right,
That'd be a great pyramid though.
yeah.
Oh.
That
See,
would
my-
be a great pyramid.
My
to
hope
start.
is to get this one up and running, at least one up and running to begin with. Go through a whole year's worth of helping people and documenting what we've done. And then when I come back for budget talks next year, I can say, "Hey, city council, look at all these children we fed. Look at all these homeless people we got housed. Look at all these victims of domestic violence we helped. Look at all this great stuff that we did. Now give me some money." I mean, how can they say no at that
That's
point?
right.
Do you know you can get a federal grant to help you?
I'm working on that. Springfield just got one for $727,000 to do exactly what I want to do now.
Wow,
For 7 years, the government paid my wages.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Paid
working
for
on
my
getting.
office, paid for my secretary. Yeah,
Well, the government likes throwing around money
yeah.
unless you're American.
I'm
Now,
an
come on,
American.
let's
Oh,
get the
man.
RFPs in a minute.
Oh, well, if you live in Ukraine, you can get billions, but you know.
Yeah,
See, I'm probably gonna get fired. I see this.
yeah, yeah.
I see this in my future. from
You
talking
probably
to
will after I talk to you.
Well, I don't want to talk to you.
I put so much stuff on your plate, you say, oh,
Somebody
let's
wheel
get
her
some
out the door.
erasers, let's get some erasers.
So now all these treatment facilities that are in the area here, because my stepbrother's was a police officer for 25 years in Wichita, Kansas. So when they would have issues, many times they would send people over here for treatment. These people sometimes fail out of these treatment programs, and then they're out on the streets and they have nowhere to go. They have no one
That
to
goes
pick
into
them
what
up.
you were talking about
So
earlier.
yeah, this, yes, it does. It
Yeah.
goes into what you guys have been sharing. This goes into our homeless problem. This goes into many things. So all these facilities, how is there not a checks and balances on this to go, okay, how many people are actually making it through this and doing something productive, and how many are failing out and then on our streets, and we're just letting these people
You know, this is the first
continue
time
a
you've said anything today
program.
that I agree with.
Yes.
Can we like get something to look into these programs to see what they're actually doing and what they're actually producing for our society here in
There's a
Joplin?
thing that the city has been working on. They contracted with a private group called the Charity Group to put together a big report on homelessness and all the ancillary things that go into that. The report came out. I guess it's a little bit controversial. Some people agree with it, some people don't. But I agree with you on that point, Barry. We need to have standardization, because what we're seeing is one group will say, they call them high barrier and low barrier groups. One group will say, if you're homeless, you can come into my facility, but you can't be high, you can't be drunk, you can't be violent. Another group will say, I don't care, just come on in. One group will say, if you're going to participate in my program, you have to go to church services and you have to do X number of things to help yourself. Another group will say, no, you don't have to do any of that. You just come and we'll give you stuff. So you got all these different social service providers, and each one of them have their own way of doing things. They have their own protocols. They have their own entry levels. And there's not a whole lot of cooperation or standardization going on in that. Now, that's not something that the police I can't go to all these groups and say, you will do this, you will work with her. I can't do that. But
Yeah.
you're hitting the nail on the head with that. They need to work together. And a lot of times they don't play well together, and that just hurts the community, because if all these groups with all these resources and all this wherewithal would come together in one voice and have one protocol, I think you'd get a lot more people help. But that's kind of something that's not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
That's a bigger problem.
Or
than-
if we could even as a city build something so that we say, hey, you've got to show us your success rate. Because if you're just dumping people out on the streets and you're collecting this money from another state just to get money, and then you're like, oh, okay, this person didn't make it, and they just dump them on our streets.
I don't know if anybody's collecting money from
No,
other
not
states.
states
One
and
state
the
usually doesn't pay another state.
Yeah.
I've not heard of that. The federal government might, but
Yeah.
states don't usually pay other states.
The government
What about-
pays for a lot of that drug rehab and stuff.
So the federal
They don't-
government will
They
send
don't
them.
care whether somebody goes in and comes out
'Cause I know,
impaired
like,
or not.
My stepbrother told me they'll book people over there on drug charges, and then they'll go through a program and they'll send them over here. He said there's a bunch of them that go to Joplin when they book them on drug charges over there, and that's out of Wichita.
Once
So
again,
why would Wichita send
second
us
time
their
today,
problems?
I'm gonna agree with you. That does happen.
The-
And that's a question.
Somebody's
I have.
paying
Why
for it.
would-
Somebody's shipping them there, and they've got some sort of setup with this agency
You're
that
onto
is
something.
saying, "Hey, send them here."
You're
So
onto
why
something.
are we pulling people from other places and not just putting the help in their place and saying, "Hey,
Now
let's
you're
help
making
these
sense,
people"?
Barry.
Hey,
Now you're
I
making
made sense the whole time. You just don't want to
That's
hear me.
subjective, but I agree
You
with
just don't want to hear me.
You're right on the money with what you're saying now.
Well, because we're not pointing the finger at the blue. I mean,
Oh, no
anytime
matter
we
what
do
you
that.
do.
Because there's
5
problems on
minutes?
both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
There's
seen it all
always
day.
problems on both sides. There
There's
is.
always
And we
gonna be
always
problems
have
on
to
both
look for the issues so that we can make it better. That's what society is about, is trying to leave it better than what I came into.
Yep.
For me, anyway.
Yeah, you're right. I
How
agree
we
with you
doing
again
on
on that.
time?
He said nothing but that he's willing to address issues if there are issues on our side. He's just gotta have facts to be able to work with it.
I personally want to say, thank you for taking the time.
Yes.
I'm disappointed in the community that there's not 100 people here personally, that just me.
Well, I'm gonna have this every month ongoing, so, and I'll publicize it as we go, as it's coming up, so that people, and I'm gonna do it at all different parts of the city, so
Yes.
that, you know, somebody might not be able to have transportation to get to another part of town, so I'm gonna move it all over town every month, so that people can come in and
Good,
just
good.
do this. This is what I want, right here.
And small is beautiful. And when you get your results like a year from now and some stuff, make sure that gets out to the community.
Oh my
Whether
God,
it's
you
a
have no
paper
idea.
or some, because
I wanna stand
not
on the
everybody.
street corner shop, man.
He's gonna have my calling card. I'm
Well,
gonna be his buddy. He's gonna.
But
I'm
not
gonna
only
be
the
doing
paper,
whatever the police department needs from
Your
us.
websites and everything, because
Mhm.
the paper's just gotten way too expensive. Even electronic things start to get a little expensive. And not everybody's got a computer or a cell phone either. So,
Put it on your
thank you,
thing
you did a
that,
great job.
that
Well, I'm gonna put it
maps
out.
or whatever can come pick you up and take you to
Yeah.
the next coffee.
She's got that info.
Get
I will
that
put
out
that
there.
As many different ways as I can get information out, I'm gonna do it, because like you said, not everybody has access to a computer or to reliable internet. So whether it's coming to meetings like this, any way we can come up with to get the information out to as many people as possible, we're gonna do. But I think you had a question.
Actually, I had a comment.
Mhm.
First of all, I do want to meet with you independently. And secondly, I think what our city really needs is a halfway house that they're mandated to with correct supervision, that they, instead of just, oh, you're on probation and you're out, right back to the same network that put you in prison, which is a lot of times the drug use. If they're in a halfway house where they're mandated to get a job, they're mandated to share part of the expense, and it's the alternative to just be free and out on the thing. I spent 25 years in drug and alcohol counseling in Colorado, and that was one of the things that we provided. And they have to pay for their own individual sessions, but they have to work, and they don't have enough time.
You just gave me an idea.
Well, I hope so.
Because we have that drug treatment court.
We have that through Ozark City. However, what about their halfway house where they're living? You have somebody that goes to prison, comes back, they're sitting with the same people that they got high with.
Yeah.
So get them away from that. They have to have enough time to establish a new lifestyle. And one that says, I'm not sitting out here saying, hey, we'll work for food. I have to have something that says, I've got to go to the job at least 6 hours a
You
day.
Nazi.
I know. I told you I wanted to talk to
To
you.
work and take care of themselves, but I agree with you.
No, it's very effective. And whenever
Yes.
I worked with Governor Lamb back at Treatment Alternatives to Street Crime in Denver, it was very effective. And we started utilizing a lot of that stuff. Like I said, had my foot in the door for a little while, but I do have some ideas that goes along with that. So, God bless you.
Yes. Thank you for doing this.
Well,
Yes.
no problem. I enjoy it. Even when I'm challenged, I enjoy it.
You're one sick.
You just made his day.
How did
I'm
you
sure I'll
make
be
my
on
day?
TikTok or YouTube or.
Of course you will.
Yeah.
Of course you
Make a movie
will.
star out of you,
Yeah, he's
Chief.
making me TikTok famous.
Why wouldn't I?
You'll be on call.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Follow me
I
at
mean,
all.
you just be the man you're gonna be, and why wouldn't you be proud of it?
I am.
See?
I do it. You know, I don't do anything in the shadows because everything's done in the shadows will come to light.
Oh, and that's such a fresh air. You have no idea.
You know,
You have so much fresh air when you say that.
the scandal is always worse than the offense
That's right.
because if you do something wrong and you say, "Man, I messed up. Here's what I did," it can be handled. You take the wind out of everybody's sails. You take care of it. If somebody needs to get punished, they're punished. If somebody needs to get disciplined, they're disciplined. If they need to get retrained, they get retrained. If they need to get fired, they get fired. But what's always worse is when you have an offense and then you try to hide it and people start asking about it. Then you're stammering and stuttering and looking like Hillary Clinton, and that's when things get so bad. I'm getting fired.
Yeah, you're gonna get fired.
Huh?
No, not today.
Not today.
Maybe not
Not
today.
today.
It could be something though.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I think you've actually planted some good roots.
I hope so.
Tony
I
Dungy.
do.
I don't know if you're a football guy, but
Yeah, Indianapolis Colts.
yeah, back in the day, he said ultimately the thing they hire you for will be the thing they fire you for.
But that may be 20 years
Well,
from now.
then, I can see that coming in. Yeah. Because if they hired me to come in and try to make things right or come up with new, fresh ideas of ways of doing things, then that's what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if I get hit in the head, it'll be because of that.
It might
Somebody
be.
said, you need to go meet the new chief. And I said, yeah, I know that. And they said, but we're gonna give him about a year.
And then what?
And I said, excuse me? And they said, before we go down and meet him, we want you to meet him
Oh, they're
first.
throwing you up as guinea pig, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, that's fine. And Miss Gloria asked me yesterday, she said, you gonna go meet the chief? And I said, yeah. She said, it's about time he met you.
Well, hope
I
you
said,
take back
no,
the
it's
good
about
report.
time I met him.
Well, it's about time we meet each other.
Yeah,
It's past time.
yeah.
And I hope you can take back a good report, or at least not go and say too much bad stuff about me.
Well, Hillary Clinton, Ukraine, that's a little, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of touch and go stuff. I've
Yeah.
got so much craziness going
I
on
know.
here. I should have been a
Welcome
preacher.
to my world.
Everybody in my family thought I was going to be a preacher because I talk so much. But then I went another way, and here I am. And I still talk a lot.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready to call her quits.
You guys got to take some of these goodies. I mean, look at all this stuff.
I know.
I did my part, sir.
I walked in. You know, I brought a couple of dozen, well, more than a couple of dozen donuts, but I walked in, they already had all this stuff. I was like, man.
You got kids between 16 and 18, they get stopped for speeding, and it's their very first experience with a police officer. And you get a ticket, and it's $70, and you've only got 35. And yeah, they did wrong. So, would it be better, pardon the expression, a butt chewing or a ticket? Just, okay, so I can remember when I went to Webb City, and maybe it's because the Webb City cops knew everybody, and they go, Ed, what would your dad say about this? Or my uncle was a city cop at the time, and when I got stopped, what would your uncle say? I said, just write the ticket. He doesn't get
I
it.
think there should be a list of offenses that you can work your way out of.
Okay.
Like something like that. You're 16, 17, 18, you get caught speeding, which 16 and 17, 18-year-olds do.
Especially if you're
Instead
male.
of giving you a $200 or $300 fine.
Sexist.
Whoa.
Wait, did you speed when you were
Whoa.
between 16 and
I
18?
was speeding. I was in Iowa City, Iowa, and they had this walkway that came from the university to cross the highway, and it did one of these. And I had a little Morris Minor, a little smaller than a Volkswagen, and I drove that sucker right through that.
Bad
Came down
news
and
there.
And the
Bad
cop
news
was
there.
standing there saying, "What did you do?" I said, "I went down that." He said, "It's a walkway." I said, "Yeah, but it didn't say I couldn't take a vehicle down there."
Hoodlum.
Oh, God, yes. But I was
She's got a
17.
background. You need to check her background.
I was 17 and invincible like every 17-year-old is.
But what I was thinking is, you put a person in a situation, you give them a $200 or $300 fine.
Yeah.
Okay, you give them the fine. But then you say, you can work that fine off at X number of dollars per hour of community service or
Perfect.
Yes.
or you know,
Yes.
working
I love
at one of the social services providers, and you can not have to pay that money, because what if you don't have $200 or $300?
Yeah.
So now you don't pay your fine, now you got a bench warrant. So now you go to jail, and then you get more fines that you still don't have the money to pay. It's just spiraling the drain.
I had been working every weekend for the first 2 years of my driving then.
But you've been working.
That's true, it's
Yeah.
better forking out the money.
It's forking out. Now, if you got the money, no blood, no foul. You can you speed, you pay the ticket, everything's everything. But what if you don't? It just locks you in.
Plus, it can teach them very valuable life lessons.
Yeah.
You're
that
thinking
could
outside
be
the box, and I
very
appreciate
good.
that.
Because
That's-
I've always told people, don't let the criminal justice system get their hooks in you, whether it's juvenile justice or adult justice. Because once the hooks are in, it's hell getting them out. I mean, I've seen people get locked up because they had an offense, they went to court, they did what the judge told them to, they paid their fines, but some clerk somewhere mistyped their social security number in the computer. Now it's not showing that they took care of their business, and they got a bench warrant. Once the hooks are in, it just takes so long to get shed of the criminal justice system. So I tell young people all the time, don't even go down that road.
So how do we fix that? So you've stated something that we both think is something that needs to be fixed. So how do we fix that? How do we look at people and go, okay, you messed up, and we want to help you get better? So how do we look at people like that instead of looking at them and saying, you're a criminal?
It all depends on the offense. And I've said this before, theoretically, the police are supposed to be trying to put ourselves out of business. We're supposed to be trying to create a situation where there's zero crime, nobody's going to jail, nobody's committing any offenses, so there's no need for the police. That's in theory. Will it ever happen? No. But that's what we're supposed to be working for. Now, to answer your question, to address your question, how do you fix the system? That's a bigger issue than I can come up with, but I do have ideas at my level, at my little level. Stuff like this. Sprinkle in just a little bit of compassion into the equation. I mean, you can't do that with everybody, because if you're out there raping and robbing, you don't need compassion. You need to go to prison. That's where you need to be. But if you're speeding, why put you into a deeper hole that you can't get out of? And then, because you're in that deep hole, you go deeper. And now you become a criminal recidivist. You are active in crime over and over and over and again because the system has put you into a set of circumstances that you can't get out of. I firmly believe in that. That's going to take a complete overhaul of a lot of systems. I can try to work on it here at the lower level and say, hey, these kids are out speeding, or these young people or adults are doing a certain set of things that we can take care of at the lower level. And I would want to work with the city court on that, because I'm talking about low level stuff like speeding that leads to you not being able to pay your fine, and then going to jail, and then getting disillusioned with the system and giving up on stuff because you can't get a job because you got all this stuff in your background. One thing leads to another. If we can put a stopgap in there, then people won't keep sinking deeper and deeper. That's why I want to have these kind of meetings, because I get ideas from you guys about stuff to try. I can put information out to you guys about stuff I'm working on, and we can work together to try to come up with a better way of getting stuff done.
Well, I know something that's I've spoke to you about before is CNIs. It seems like the police love to write CNIs, even in private parking lots when it says that it's on a roadway. In Joplin, and then they love to tow vehicles too. Like even like people that had insurance, or people that had they didn't have it for that specific car because they just bought it, but then the police tow the vehicle. It goes to court. It's thrown out of court because they had insurance, and then but still they had to pay for that tow, for their vehicle getting towed.
You have to have the proof of insurance in the vehicle, and if you don't have the proof of insurance, how can the officer determine that you had insurance if you don't have the proof?
So the people that were, they didn't have proof of insurance for that specific vehicle, but they had full coverage on another vehicle. Well, typically in the state of Missouri, full coverage will cover any vehicle you go into. Your insurance rides with you. Mine does. Mine does.
That would cheat the insurance company out of a lot of money, because they don't want. What if you own 27 cars and you're only paying one policy? The insurance companies aren't going to put up with that. They want you to pay a policy on every car that you.
Yes, you're supposed to have it on every car, but when you just bought a car and you don't have the policy with you because you just bought it, your insurance from your, you can call any insurance company, you can ask them, your insurance rides with that one. Yes, you need to get insurance, but you have a 30-day window. But if they're towing vehicles on these people that just bought
But does
cars.
the law say you're supposed to have proof of insurance on that vehicle? At the
That,
time
how
of
you
the
gonna
stop?
have it when you just bought the vehicle?
Well, that's a
In
loophole.
Missouri, you don't have to have insurance on the car when you buy it.
I've always thought you did,
Yes.
because whenever I've bought a car, they.
Yes.
You have to have-
You have to have proof
Before
of
you get
insurance, but it's not
Insurance,
for that car.
You have 30 days to get the.
There's
Oh,
no
do
way
you?
you have it for that car when you just bought that car. You have it for
You call
another
the
car.
insurance company and say, add this car to it.
Yeah, and it's the weekend and they're not there.
You gotta
So,
stop
I
a
mean,
minute.
you can't,
You threw out two things, C&I. I don't know that everybody in the room understands the word C&I unless you're in law enforcement. So I'm gonna let you tell everybody what C&I stands for.
what is safe and prudent driving, basically. It's reckless driving.
Well, I thought you said C&I, like Charlie, idiot, like careless and imprudent is the way I took it. I don't know that the rest, I'm sure you understand.
That's what it is,
Right.
careless and
And
imprudent, C&I,
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah, but I don't know
So what
that.
did that have to do with insurance? If you're driving like a nut?
God, you cleaned that up good.
No, I'm saying that
You know,
they,
a lot
I'm
of
saying
these-
that they write CNIs
A lot of
saying
these
something
things
happened.
we are addressing to the chief that he really can't control. And I hear him saying he wants to control it. The other part of it is, the police are there to primarily investigate and arrest. And then the courts take it over from there. Now, the courts have to go by the legislators, because the legislators are the ones that make the laws.
Yes.
So as it turns out, then, the police are the initial people involved, then the courts, and then the legislators. So a lot of these things, the chief can't really answer because he's not a legislative person. He's not a senator, he's not in the House. So the bottom line being, we can't really ask him to do too much, but I do hear him saying this, that he cares about these issues, and he wants to help resolve these issues, even though he may not be able to.
I don't know who you are, but thank you for coming.
I believe it's an educational thing. I believe that the city attorneys, the city prosecutors, these things need to be educating themselves on what's happening in the Supreme Court, in Missouri, and federally, so that they can see these things coming through, and then they can go, okay, guys, this is what's happening. This just came through. This is new case law. We need to get this out to our people on the streets, and we need the police to know that this is what the Supreme Court said on this issue.
Yeah, but the law has to be passed before they can do that.
Yes.
So that the chief can act on the laws. And
Yes.
so the courts can take the circumstances of their arrest and make some kind of determination about the punishment, whether there is even punishment.
Yes, I completely agree, but it's got to be passed down. It's got these things. People got to be educated to know that this is what we're doing. Because if you don't know the Constitution, you can't protect it, and that's what they took an oath to protect.
And that's not the chief's responsibility.
And see, you stopped at a level, you were talking about educating the people, but then you stopped and made it the police's fault. Now, if you kept going
The whole
down and
everyone.
saying that
I'll
everybody
agree.
needs to be educated, because I agree with you. You shouldn't be held accountable for a law that you had no idea existed. These things do need to be made clearly expressed to the public, so they know what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. And those are issues that, I can work with this guy on.
That's right. I'm here to help him with that.
So I do agree with you on that. But going back to his point, the police have to enforce the laws that are on the books. If there's not a law on the books that protects somebody from something, we don't have the wherewithal to address that. We can only go with what the legislature says we can go with. If the legislature says you don't have insurance, you don't have the proof of insurance, the police should write you a ticket. That's what we have to go with. If the legislature has created a catch-22 where they're letting people drive off the lot with cars that they haven't paid the taxes on, and then they get a ticket because they don't have the proper tag, or there's an insurance gap, that's something that needs to be dealt with at the legislative table. Not something, and I can address that because I've got Jill Carter's number on my phone. I can call her and talk to her about these things, but that's above both me and you's pay grade. That's above both our heads, but I can get into it. I can make the information known to the people that it needs to be made known to. Yeah.
I mean, I know Jill Carter don't even follow the Constitution because she has a political page that she blocks people on, which is the Supreme Court's already decided on. If you have a political page, you can't block people because that prevents people's First Amendment rights.
Have you called Jill?
For politics. Oh yeah, I've sent her emails on it. I've said stuff to her about it.
Well, I'm not part of Senator Carter's office, so, maybe one day, but not yet.
I'd like to see this guy run for office in
Yes.
the
Second.
legislature,
Second.
because he's
I
got
don't know.
all the right things to do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't think I'd last.
We've got a state representative, was the former Joplin police chief.
Lane,
And,
yeah.
and it's done a great job up there in Jefferson City. It's not, and then when there's another guy that worked for Empire, so it's nice to have something besides attorneys as state representatives.
Yeah, you need people with common sense, you need people like, who are in this
Absolutely.
room. Because how can you be a government, and I think I've heard you say this, how can you be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, if the only people who are in government are totally detached from the people?
Yes.
So, I'm a firm believer in that.
I have got to go. It's past my bedtime.
Whoa, you've been drinking already?
I finished it.
Oh, is that vodka in there? What you
Well,
got in
that's
there?
not what my water's doing to me.
I have a better provider than you have. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. You did an outstanding job.
Yes.
And I'll be doing these every month, as long as I'm here. So, and me and you have some meetings to
Yes, we do.
yeah. But yeah, for everybody else, if you wanna stay, I'll stay. Please eat some of these goodies. Cause I'm probably just gonna take a bunch of it home with me and
Take
I
it
really don't
down,
need it.
take it down to the police station, nobody's gonna complain.
Oh, I don't want them getting it, cause then they'll be,
Go take it to the fire station then.
I definitely don't want them to have it because we've got a running war with the.
What am I
with the
getting in
fire
trouble with
department.
you for?
I'm the
Then take it to
firefighter's
EMS.
grandma.
Huh?
Oh,
I'll take the EMS, we don't have a bowling table. with
don't
EMS.
you, they need
Well, I
to,
don't want them fat.
what's wrong with that level?
Fatter.
Fat and level. They need energy.
Thank you
I
again.
wanted to introduce myself. I'm Ann Leach, and I wanted to say Happy Derby Weekend.
You know about Derby Weekend?
I worked in Louisville at Actors Theater for many, many years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go down there every year to see
Nice.
A Christmas Carol and try to
Yeah,
every year.
yeah. It was a long time ago.
It was nice
Yeah.
to meet
Great
you.
meeting you too, thank you for coming.
Of course. Good to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
You too, let's do lunch soon.
Okay, great.
Snap, crackle, pop.
So yeah, it was a great place. I lost my home in the tornado, and my friends, I was from Central Illinois, and my friends were like, "Are you moving back?" And I said, "If I moved anywhere again, it would be Louisville." So, yeah.
You know, like I said, when I was a kid, it was a great place to live and work and everything.
Changed a lot.
Changed.
Yes.
Right before I came here, I went to
Nix is my hometown.
Well, welcome to God's country. Nix is a fine town. My brother's an Edward D. Jones agent up there in Nixon.
Okay, very good. Yeah,
Shouldn't
okay.
be in the school.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far,
They
and
fall-
it's
that's
been
just
very well.
about having officers in the school trying to make kids.
It is
safe
growing.
Yeah.
And build
Yeah.
relationships.
And Joplin is too.
It's
But
it's
I'm glad
absolutely
that
chief
you found
madness.
us.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
Absolutely.
Chief, nice to meet you.
Thank
I
you.
don't believe
I
we have
thoroughly
that.
enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. You bet.
Chief, John Knappenberg, does that name ring a bell?
Knappenberg.
K-N-A-P-P-E-R-G.